I was always very into alcohol. I drank every day for years up until I was like 35. Then COVID happened and I drank a lot more. And I was like, I really don't want to do this anymore. And then one day I woke up and I heard a voice just the same as a singing bowl that said, no more drinking. And I was like, okay. And I just stopped. I didn't go to AA. I just stopped. And it has not been hard the whole time. It was just a download from source that was like, this doesn't serve you anymore. Life is meant to be fun. This whole thing, which might be a simulation, is a playground.
Hey everyone, thanks for tuning into the Vibrant Soul Society, the conversations. Our mission here is to help you discover that you are greater than your thoughts. And beyond your thoughts is your divine essence, this vibrant soul. So I bring forward various guests to inspire us, offer wisdom, and how to live a better life. Today we are very blessed and privileged to have Jen with us today. So Jen, welcome to the conversations.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
For people that are unfamiliar with you, who is Jen?
Who is Jen in a 3D dimension, I suppose, would be I'm a spiritual business coach, life coach, and sound healer. And so that's what I do with all of my time is find ways to help others tap into exactly what you're talking about. And then I also spend a lot of my time doing that same work on myself. I'm just constantly expanding.
Oh, great. So what got you from this human experience to the spiritual part of it? So what was that turning point for you?
It's really hard to nail down like the exact turning point. The big part of my story where I went from a dark place to a spiritual searching place was back in 2016. I got diagnosed bipolar. And of course, the society loves to diagnose us with things, put us in a box, tell us what we are, and then say, you will be like this for the rest of your life and you need to take medication. And so I bucked up pretty hard against that. And I was like, I don't believe you. And so I found a holistic healer and she opened the doors to expanding my thinking and recognizing that there is so much more than I thought there was.
Because that's why I like to remind people that the bipolar, the labels, I had a whole bunch of them myself. It's just information. It's not our destiny.
Yeah. And it was telling me something about myself where I was at the time and helped me reveal the next steps. But as long as I worked on not identifying with that, but just using it to help guide me, it was a helpful thing.
Yeah, that's really, it's information there to guide you.
Exactly.
And what do you think was missing at that point in your life where the holistic healer opened that door up?
And a lot of it's awareness. So I think that many of us, until we are opened up to this kind of work, we don't recognize that there is anything outside of ourselves. And like you said, you are more than your thoughts, but our thoughts literally create our reality. And so if we're in that thought loop consistently, then that's what we're making and that's all we see. So I needed to expand how I saw the world. And then I needed outside help on just how to do things differently. I needed to break the cycle of how I was doing things.
That's a good way to describe breaking the cycle of doing things, because our greatest addiction is addiction to thoughts. And we're not even.
No, because we think that's all there is. We think that thoughts are reality and it could not be further from the truth.
So that's an interesting rabbit hole people can get down and because of the circular pattern of thoughts chasing thoughts, and the diagnosis can really do that. So what was one of the first things you did to expand your awareness to see that thoughts weren't the truth after all?
So it's funny because I was already in yoga teacher training and I'd already been doing yoga for years, but I had never made the connection. I did it for exercise. I didn't do it for the meditation that naturally happens when you do yoga. I was just going because I was like, I want to stretch and I want to do headstands. And that's all I was interested in. I met this holistic healer. I got off of my medication and it was all of those things together. The holistic healer had a lot of things to say that I'd never heard before. And then, of course, in yoga teacher training, it was a lot about just the spiritual expansion of what yoga is and yoking the spirit with the body and the mind and all of that. And so yoga would be probably the first doorway, I think, that I used, but I didn't recognize it for a long time. It took me a while.
Yeah, I see yoga as a great teacher of presence.
Very much. And I still, even to this day, I do a lot of this work and presence is a challenge for me. Quieting my mind is a challenge for me. And yoga is one of my favorite ways to get there.
Because when I began yoga way back when I was dealing with multiple sclerosis, the mind would say, you can't do yoga, you're not flexible, your balance is horrible, and all these stories. So when I began yoga, the sensation of tipping over would really just bring me back here. So
Yeah.
then 6 months of doing yoga, no more cane, it was going away.
Yep.
Because one thing, it's just information, and we have these diagnoses like information. What am I missing?
And that's a really powerful thing you're saying too, that it's just information. Because even going to yoga and being inflexible or falling over, that's information that's helping you figure it out. And if we can look at it without judgment, then we can actually use the information to move forward.
And that's the big thing, let go of all judgment and all criticism, because that
Yeah.
keeps us on the thought train if you're criticizing and judging yourself.
But then the meditation almost happens naturally. You don't mean to, but you're meditating. It's great.
Because your meditation, for those that may be unfamiliar, it's just learning to be here, focused into this moment.
Yes. And there's a lot of different techniques, right? There's like transcendental meditation and vipassana meditation, and some people are more intense about it. But if you're new to it, really, it's just about being present.
Just learning to be present. After, what was the next step after your yoga? You're doing your teacher training. You're starting into this meditation. Was there a point where you were like, I'm starting to see what's going on here?
It all melded together a little bit. I don't remember like the exact sequence of events. I will say, and hopefully this is not TMI on your podcast, but one of the things that did, of course, give me aha moments is plant medicine. I'm very into plant medicine. And so some of those plants have really helped me see the truth. It kind of lifts the veil and lets you see what's behind the curtain, so to speak. And so plant medicine has been a really big part of my journey, but it was like yoga. And then, of course, being an entrepreneur, that kind of opens up a lot of healing, I think. I think that running your own business, it gives you a lot of opportunity to see things differently and step outside of the way that the matrix is, because you have to constantly reinvent yourself and figure out a different way to do things. And so I think those two things might be the next part on the timeline.
But then I like to say, do we really need to figure anything out?
That's the thing. I don't even think we're really meant to know. I think that we're constantly trying to get to the end and there is no end.
I feel like for me, it's really like spirit moves me in the direction that I need to be moved.
And if we can trust that, it's hard because we're a bunch of control freaks. We want to understand what's going on all the time.
When you really think about it, what can we really control?
And what you really can control is your thoughts.
Well, you can't really control your thoughts. They pop out of the blue. What you can do with thoughts is, do I react or respond to them, or do I let them drift on by? But we can't really say we can create thoughts, but they automatically appear, is what I see.
I see that, but I also see that there is the ability to intentionally create your thoughts. And then you
Yeah.
are in a battleground there, right? Where you're creating thoughts, your other thoughts are popping up and they're like doing this. But I do think that we have more power over our thoughts than we believe.
The power is not responding to some of those thoughts that are not supportive of us.
But if you stop responding to those and you start creating your own, you eventually create more of that thought pattern and you actually are able to influence the thoughts that frequently pop up.
It's a rewiring of the brain as opposed to going to the negative spiral.
Yeah, but I see what you're saying, though. I think you can condition them to be less negative.
Yeah, absolutely. Because when you're caught in this thought roller coaster, it can be really hard to separate yourself out. Like, I'm the observer of these thoughts. But then you get getting into some other interesting areas, looking at your Instagram and things like, how did the singing bowls come to be?
That's such a funny thing. So that was a nudge by spirit. I'm a little bit clairaudient. I'm not clairvoyant. I don't see things, but I hear a lot of things. And I also have a background in music. And so that kind of plays into everything. I did a lot of musical theater and classical singing lessons and all that sort of thing. And so I was just sitting there one day and I heard buy some singing bowls. And I was like, I can't afford those. Those are really expensive. I don't know how to play them. I just ignored it, but it kept coming up. And so eventually I did. And I work at a yoga studio. I asked her, I said, hey, can I do some sound healings here? I don't really know what I'm doing, but I'm going to figure it out. And I did my first one, never having played them for longer than 5 minutes. And I just intuitively let myself be a channel through the bowls. And that door, it's changed my life. It's changed my business. It changed my life. And then just the way that I'm helping clients and helping people, it's been really cool.
Yeah, because we forget that we think we're this body, this form, but we can break everything down to energy and frequency. So it's almost like the frequencies are creating a new reality or bringing a new way of being.
Absolutely. Yeah. Because the things in a sound healing, which I use more than the bowls, but all of the frequencies are of the higher, more loving, more fifth dimensional frequencies. And so whatever you bring into a sound bath, that frequency will go through you and it can absolutely change your reality.
Yeah. So it's like everything is a frequency. So if we're into medicine, that has a certain frequency. Is that frequency helpful to the body or not? So do we need to take the actual physical pill or we energetically do it? And I'm under the impression we can do it energetically.
And I am too. I feel like it's really hard in our society because we are taught this idea that you have to take the pill in order to make it work. And so we almost have a subconscious belief that what you're saying doesn't work, but it absolutely does.
That it's really this deeper understanding that it's this energy and frequency. And we
Mhm.
know this from the quantum field studies.
Yeah, absolutely. I love quantum stuff.
So you get into the singing goals. So do you still feel like the bipolar is still playing in around, or do you feel like it's just dissolved now, like there's no trace of that?
That's always an interesting conversation because I believe everything that you're saying, and I agree with all of that. And at the same time, I still find myself struggling a little bit here and there. However, because I have all of these different tools and I have awareness and I am learning every day about energy and how to work with my own energy, it is not at all the way that it was in 2016. But I do still have a little bit of this up and down. It's just not
Right.
near head.
And so your practices are making it smoother and smoother.
That's why I say it's almost when there's a boat in the water and it creates this huge waves, and over time they get smaller and smaller until they eventually level out. I feel like I'm right at that tail end where it's almost about to level out based on the work that I do.
So you just keep doing that work and it will naturally even out the way I've seen it. Cause I also had that bipolar label as well. And
Oh,
it's
you
just not,
did?
it's not part of my reality anymore. Same with
Oh,
the MS label, all these labels. I don't associate with them. They're
yeah.
not me. My spirit was never affected by them. And that's
Yeah,
we have to realize spirit is unaffected by this human experience.
absolutely. Good for you. And I hope that anybody hearing this, I'm sure there's plenty of people who have a diagnosis like that or similar. And it can be very dooming because they tell you like you're going to be on medication for the rest of your life. This is who you are. It's really intense. And so I like this expanded viewpoint that we can not identify with it.
Because we take our diagnosis as destiny and it's not. It's always a pneumo.
Absolutely. And your cells regenerate every 7 years if you believe that sort of thing. So you can heal anything.
Yes, you can heal anything, but that deeper essence of you can heal anything. It's not the mind trying to figure it out. Because we get into weird thought patterns. Like I could never step back and say, how do I heal these 7 ailments?
Exactly.
So it's about going deeper and realizing that there's nothing to figure out. It's about really relaxing and trusting.
Yeah.
So you do something very interesting on the call. And I was just really curious about it because we never talked about this on the show. And it's interesting. You do these moon cycles, whether it's new moon or full cycle, new moon or full moon. So what is these moon cycles? What's that entail?
So they're moon circles
Moon circle.
or the moon cycle, which I know is very confusing. The new moon and the full moon both have very powerful energies. The full moon, and they're all in different astrological signs as well. So I always bring that in when I do it. I don't remember which one we're about to go into, but we just had new moon in Aquarius. And so they all have different intentions behind them. But the new moon is intended for manifesting new things. And then the full moon is used for releasing stuff that doesn't serve you. So if you like to be woo, spiritual, like I like to do, I like to do ceremonies. I do cacao ceremonies and medicine ceremonies. I do these virtual moon circles where I bring everybody into sort of like a virtual circle. And it's a sacred space where we invite spirit in to hold space for us. And then we set intentions, journal, do an energetic exercise around whatever the moon is. And so then it is a really powerful manifestation tool for people to use. If you've never tried to harness the power of the moon, it's really neat.
Yeah, it sounds very fascinating. What kind of transformations have you seen from that kind of practice?
People, I see a lot of crying. I will say that. I see a lot of crying in my spaces because when you invite spirit in and you create a safe space for people to just be themselves and take down their mask, they can let go of stuff. And so, really, what I see the most of is people releasing years of pain, years of stories, years of so and so hurt me and this happened, and they just let it go. They just release it. Or if they're doing like a new moon manifestation with me, quantum leaps in people's lives where they just make things happen so quickly, where they've been struggling for a long time and then they just zone in and allow energy to work and it's all manifested easily, like no problem.
That's the thing, though. When we get the mind out of the way, manifestations can happen. And I really see that too, that crying is a very powerful tool of releasing energy that is stuck.
One of my favorite powerful tools to release energy. That if you've had a good cry, you feel like something has left your body when you're done.
Because it's basically stuck, stagnant energy that's been stuck in your body and probably manifesting in some ways that you would prefer not to have.
Yeah.
Well, there would be the diagnosis of the day is, and that's the thing, is just the diagnosis of the day, because you go to different doctors, different diagnosis, different theories.
Yeah. That's why I actually don't go to doctors anymore for that reason, because I don't want anyone to tell me and plant an idea in my head about what's going on. I'd rather intuitively tap into myself.
Because we've given power away to the doctors and to the outside world.
Correct. And that's a really big part of what keeps us in what I call the matrix, is that shift of power. And we give our power away to so many things. And we are all powerful, but we don't realize it.
Right.
Is
Yeah.
that what you teach?
I teach people presence. I teach people that you know what's best for you. You live in your body, to stop chasing thoughts with more thoughts, because the thoughts are not usually your answer. Your answer is coming from a deeper place. So it's about residing into that deeper place and allowing that to guide and to lead you. We're also mistaught in school. We're taught to figure things out. And that's not the mind's job. The mind's job is creating interference. If we really just relax and say, how do I move through this situation? Just see what rises within us. It's usually, did you ever have this? We know we need to do something. So we read all this information. We try to figure it out, but we had an insight to do something else. And you're like, that can't be right. And we follow all these instructions and we go through all these plans. And 3 hours later, that didn't work out at all. Oh, let me go try this other thing. Oh, there it is. It's done. It's over with.
Oh, yeah, totally.
That's what I'm talking about. When we figure it out, we're spending hours upon hours working on something and nothing is going through, because it's coming from a mental place. It's not coming from this deeper essence connected to all things. Yeah. So ultimately, there is nothing to figure out. It's to understand who you are.
Yeah, absolutely.
So if anything, if I teach people, it's really, who are you? Mm-hmm. You're not this story. You're not that story. Like you said before, in the 3D matrix, this is who I am.
Yeah, we all have, right? That's how we tell each other, hi, I'm so-and-so, and I do this.
You are spirit.
I was in the grocery store one time and some guy said, so tell me about you. What do you do? And I was like, oh, I'm Stardust and Cosmos. And I was like, I'm love and light and energy. And he was just like, okay. Like he just looked at me like I was crazy. And I was like, yeah, but it's true.
The one thing I like to tell people is look at old photographs of yourself as a toddler, as a young adult, as a teenager, all these changing bodies.
Yeah.
That's you. I
was doing something called self-inquiry meditation. And that's very much what he teaches, is that you look through, like you are the one that observes that. It's not, you are not that, you are the one observing that, basically. You try to wrap your brain around it. You try to understand that, but it really is just an observation practice.
Yeah.
We are not the observer.
Because if you're aware of thoughts, you can't be your thoughts. If you're aware of your body, you can't be the body. Can you be aware of consciousness? Can you really be aware of that?
This whole thing is mind-blowing.
I never had a spiritual teacher. I just let it go, just to relax. And now you're helping people to let it go through your moon cycles. Just let it go and allow the energy to transform. And it's fun. You get to play with singing bowls. Let's see what this frequency is going to do. And you're just intuitively playing different frequencies and what feels right.
Yeah, it's very intuitive. And I do certifications too. So I certify other sound healers and I empower them to not worry about how to do it, but rather have an intuitive playground to figure it out for themselves.
How to arrange the setup so they can get into that flow state, perhaps?
Yeah, for them. And I'm like, this is how I do it, but I want you to be able to play around and see what is like flowing through you, because we are also channels of energy. If we can let it flow and not think at all when I'm doing a sound bath.
Because the thinking would actually get in the way. So how do I get this sound? How do I get this sound? And you'd just be paralyzed in thoughts if you try to figure out everything out.
Nope, I just let it happen.
Yeah, that sounds beautiful. Where are you based if people want to join you for an in-person sound healing? I'm
in Reno, Nevada. So I'm on the West Coast. Yeah, it's a great place. And so we've got San Francisco's a couple hours away. Vegas is really far. Everybody thinks Vegas is close. It's not. It's 8 hours south. So we're up in the mountains.
Yeah, so I'm just curious, if somebody like myself walked in here dealing with MS and all these health challenges, walked into the yoga studio for sound healing because they weren't sure what's going to happen, what do you say to somebody like that, just walking in and curious? What's this all about?
So I try not to focus too much on the how, because I don't want people to get caught up in how is this working? I want to understand it. I just tell them, I said, hey, whatever experience you have is the right experience. None of this frequency can hurt you. So all you're going to do is lay down and try to get yourself in the receptive mode, set your intention, and then know that this frequency has healing abilities and it's going to move through. And I'm not going to tell them it's going to cure their MS. I'm not going to tell them it's going to cure all their stuff. I'm going to let them know this has the power. If you can suspend disbelief for a little while, let yourself relax and receive and just have this experience, whatever experience you have is going to be the right one. Because a lot of people come in and they'll sleep or they'll relax, but a lot of people will come in and they'll shake their hands or cry or move around a little bit. One lady came in with a sinus thing and left without it. Everybody's experience is different. I just try to quickly open the floor for them to trust me and to just know that they're going to be okay no matter what happens.
The primary focus is to get them to relax, make sure that they're comfortable, they have all the right props so they can stay in that position.
Exactly. And I also tell them too, because some people need to move. If you need to move to one side or the other, go ahead, but just try to relax into the experience. If something aggravates you, try not to panic, just breathe through it and let it move. And then instruments will change, the frequency will change, and everything will be okay. Because some people get aggravated by the bowls, I've got a gong, we've got singing, we got all kinds of stuff that we do. So different sounds aggravate different people, but I let them know that's likely energy in your body that's trying to leave. So if you can just relax, let it go.
Because that frequency is hitting something in the body that's causing an aggravation. So if you can relax into that, then that energy can dissolve it.
Yes. But people panic, right? So they freak out. I did a sound bath yesterday and somebody left right in the middle of it. I didn't even get to talk to her to find out why, but I imagine that she might have felt aggravated by something. And so she just couldn't handle it. So she left.
It's unfortunate. She just could have hung out there for a few more minutes. Then we can maybe dissolve that.
I tell them, I said, we're going to change strengths. We're going to change frequencies. If you can just breathe through it, I promise it'll pass. But some people, you get into that fight or flight mode. If you're listening to this and you've gone to a sound bath and you felt that way and you wanted to leave, that's okay. Because I really think that everybody's exactly where they're meant to be. Maybe they're not ready to let go of whatever it is. Maybe they're holding on for some reason. Your ego sometimes thinks that these stories are going to keep you safe. And so you have to kind of dissolve those on your own time.
Yeah, that's a good point. The frequencies will trigger the fight or flight response. If they hit the right nerve, it will trigger that response. Like, we got to get out of here. It's not safe.
Yes. And I want people to feel like it's okay if that's your reaction. You're not bad for having that feeling. We all have different stories and different ways that we ended up here. And so if you have a fight or flight or a trauma response, that's just part of your journey.
It's part of it. It's what's needed for healing as well. If it's there, it needs to be dissolved. If anything, be like, Jen, stay there for 5 more minutes. I really want to get rid of this energy. I know it's painful here, but just stay there, please.
Yeah. So that's something too. I do a lot of inner child work with my clients. And if you ever find yourself in that position, whether it's in sound healing or something else, you might be able to visualize yourself with little you and just be like, hey, I got you. Just hang in for 5 more minutes. Let's see what we can do. Try to be the adult and help them get through it.
So you work with individuals one-on-one. Do you bring in various frequencies?
I do have some. I've done remote sound healing. It's not quite the same. I mean, it obviously, everything's energy, so it can transcend the computer, but I just love it a lot more in person. I do have a bunch of special microphones and stuff for that scenario, but I haven't done a lot of those because people just don't resonate as deeply with them.
Because I think if the energy is resonating through your foot, you can't really get that in a computer easy.
Yeah, not quite the same. And it'll still do it. Again, it all has to do with how you feel and what you believe. But there's something about when you're in a sound bath or a private sound situation where you feel, I'll put bowls, like I'll surround people with the bowls. Like one person's in my space and I put the bowls all around them. You can put bowls on people and you really feel it. So it's definitely, I offer it online, but it's not one of my more popular offerings.
Because not as effective, because it's not resonating on those body parts that need that particular frequency.
Yeah, it doesn't feel as effective.
Yeah, because I just feel like it's not resonating in that particular knee, ankle, whatever it may be that needs to be resolved. Yeah. So that's perfect. So, yeah, so you do this inner healing as well. So it sounds like you really have gone on quite a journey since your early days to this spiritual journey that you find more and more doorways opening. Like, how's that progressing for you?
Always. There's always a new door opening all the time. Like I got sober 4 years ago, so that opened up a lot of doors. That was something that really helped me on my journey. And then, like I said, I get into plant medicine. So I went to Peru last year and did ayahuasca for a week. And that was an interesting experience. And I partake in a lot of plants, but then also anytime that I come up against what feels like a roadblock, something's in the way, that's just me being shown the next layer of what to heal. And so I'm the big onion, just constantly peeling back layers, finding new tools for those layers, utilizing the tools, usually using them to help my clients and myself, and then It's just like, there's no destination. It's fine.
Yes, that there is no destination. And it's like someone sticks a fork in you and said, "Oh, you're done."
No, it just won't. And so that's what I try to tell people, like, go of the need to finish because you won't. And we're going to be doing this for lifetimes. So it's just enjoy it.
Yeah, so that's really interesting. We haven't talked about this, like the 4 years sober. So what was that journey of sobriety like for you?
So it's funny because that was also a download. I was always very into alcohol. I drank every day for years up until I was like 35, 34, 35, 36. I don't even know. But then COVID happened and I drank a lot more. And I was like, I really don't want to do this anymore. And so I played around with the idea of sober curiosity. I was a party girl. I used to go out with friends a lot, and that's all we would do would be to drink. And so I would go out and not get a drink and just see what happened. And what happened was I felt really awkward. I felt like I didn't know how to talk to people without alcohol. So I was like, okay, so that's just another layer of me being shown. Now let me see what it feels like to sit with being awkward. And then one day I woke up and I heard a voice just the same as a singing bowl that said, no more drinking. And I was like, okay. And I just stopped. I didn't go to A, and I don't judge anyone who does because I think it's a beautiful program. But I just didn't, I just stopped. And it has not been hard the whole time. It was just a download from source that was like, this doesn't serve you anymore. So I stopped. But the hardest part is where you would normally drink to deal with your feelings. You then get to deal with your feelings. And that's where the new tools come from, right? Because you would normally have gone for a drink. Now you're like, okay, what do I do to deal with my new emotions that are happening?
You heard the voice, "No more drinking." And that
Yeah.
just hit you like, okay.
Everybody's like, oh, one day at a time, you're doing good. I'm like, I honestly, it's never been hard. The hardest part, it was learning what to replace alcohol with every time I came across a new challenge.
So, because the mind wanted to escape into the situation.
And so when you don't have the escape, you find a new escape, which for a while I would smoke pot because I just needed something to keep checking out. But then eventually I stopped that as well. And that's when all the tools, I have breath work, I've got meditation, I've got all kinds of different things I do when I come across stuff.
Yeah, it's very interesting because I also heard that voice a long time ago. And it just, I was sitting with that question. Once I discovered I had thoughts, but I wasn't my thoughts. So I was sitting with the question, who am I? And about 2 weeks later, I just heard a voice say, perfect spirit. I'm like, that's it. My spirit is perfect. It's simply the body and mind that are damaged. Then I just felt this deep sense of peace. I knew all is well and all fear about my health was simply gone and it was over. And it was.
It's miraculous.
Yeah, because the spirit can do all things. That's why I really remind people, tap into spirit. Let go of this. Try to mentally figure it out. Lean into spirit and let that guide you.
Agreed.
But it's not the easiest thing to do.
No, and yeah, so we're conditioned from a young age not to do that. And it's a practice to trust and to soften and to surrender and to listen. And I constantly am trying to grab the reins of control all the time.
Yeah, it's a practice. It's a practice because it's natural that we think that we're in control of everything, but we're really not. There's actually very little we can control. So how do you help people now to let go of the controls?
There's so many different things that you can do. Like you said, it comes down to presence. And so then it typically becomes like grounding exercises. That's something I really love is just go be in nature. We're not really meant to be in this all the time in our cars and our computers and our offices and our cubicles. Go stand out in the grass and just look at 5 things and notice them and really take them in. Like, when was the last time you looked at something and actually looked at it? We're so quick to just next. We're always looking forward. We're always scrolling, and everything's almost automatic because we're being conditioned. And so that would be something. There's so many tools that I have that just go stand with your feet in the grass and go look at stuff for 5 minutes and bring yourself to the present. And then do that whenever you feel a little bit like out of control or that you're trying to control something. Or like you said, you've been working up the thing for 3 hours. You can't figure it out. Get away from it. Go outside. Go be in nature. Nature has all the answers too, because nature is spirit, right?
Yeah.
Which, of course, spirit is on this computer, spirit is in this microphone, spirit is in this house. But sometimes our brain is used to being in the loop in this scenario. And so if you can shift that, even if it's not just going outside, but doing something different than you would normally do, that sometimes is enough to help you get out of the control mechanism and the overthinking.
Because the overthinking is a problem for a lot of people. They even realize that they're overthinking. So
Yeah,
what
and me too. I overthink and I know I'm doing it and I still do it.
it gets into a habit? We just learn to snap out of it, to come back in the presence, do something fun that's enjoyable to just break that cycle, whatever it may be. Sometimes you just need to step away. And whatever that is for you is perfect. Focus on that new activity.
And also what you said, fun. I tell people that all the time. Have more fun. When you came into this world, you were just a little ball of light with all these fun things that you wanted to do. And everybody told you, stop it. Don't do that. Don't be so loud. And over time, you embody all of that in your body and you hold all that energy. But if you have fun, if you do the things that are fun, that breaks through that really well.
Yeah, we have to go back to those toddler days where we didn't have limitations and restrictions. I think having fun expands us.
It does. The most fun you can possibly have. Life is meant to be fun. This whole thing, which might be a simulation, is a playground. This whole thing is just a playground.
Yeah, that's what I tell people, to relax, enjoy, and have fun. That's it. Spirit is not serious. Spirit is the playful energy.
Yeah, absolutely.
So if you see yourself laughing, smiling, you're in harmony with who you are.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you forgot who you are. Very simple. So Jen, this has been a very interesting conversation. So if people had questions and wanted to reach out to you, how would they do?
So my website's probably the best place to go, intuitivejen.com. And I have all of my events up there. I've got all of my offerings. I've got my email. I've got some freebies on there. I've got some stuff that you could go do and check out some of my tools. And that would be the best place to get a hold of me.
Thank you for joining the conversations. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.